I can't do this anymore. Please, just come get me. These were the words whispered into a cell phone at 3:14 a.m. Not by a stranger, but by a daughter trapped between two worlds. Aurora Alice Brown, the girl the world watched grow up in the shadow of Robyn and Kody's loyal household, finally broke the silence. But who was on the other end? It wasn't the police. It wasn't her mother. It was Gwendolyn Brown, the sister who had already walked away from the toxic castle. In the next hour, we aren't just looking at a family feud. We are dissecting the psychological collapse of the Brown family's final stronghold. How did Kody's favorite home become a prison for his oldest daughter? And why was Gwendolyn the only one she trusted to save her? Stay with us, because in 10 minutes, we reveal the specific incident at the dinner table that pushed Aurora to her breaking point. To understand the call, we have to understand the house. Robyn Brown's $1.6 million Flagstaff home has often been described by fans as a fortress of solitude. Research depth. Since the 2021 breakdown of the plural marriage, Kody Brown's world has shrunk. Research into family dynamics suggests that as Kody lost Christine, Janelle, and Meri, his grip on Robyn's biological children tightened. This is what psychologists call enmeshment. Past episode callback. Remember season 17, episode 9. Kody insisted on strict COVID protocols that even the CDC found excessive. It wasn't about health, it was about control. Aurora, ever the obedient daughter, followed every rule. But obedience has a shelf life. Community reaction. Reddit user Flagstaff Bound wrote, Aurora always looks like she's walking on eggshells. That 3 a.m. call wasn't a surprise, it was an inevitability. What makes a home toxic? Is it the yelling, or is it the silence? According to sources close to the family production, the atmosphere in the chateau had turned cold. Kody's bitterness toward his older sons, Gabe and Garrison, created a loyalty test for those still living under his roof. On the night of the call, a heated argument allegedly broke out regarding Aurora's desire to spend time with her siblings outside of Robyn's supervision. Kody's response: if you aren't with us, you're against us. Legal background. While Aurora is an adult, the emotional coercion used in high-control family groups can be as binding as any legal contract. 3 a.m. The house is silent. Aurora is in her room, the same room where we've seen her struggle with panic attacks in past seasons. She dials Gwendolyn. Why Gwen? Because Gwen is the bridge. She is the one who speaks truth to power on YouTube and Patreon. She is the one who isn't afraid of Kody's wrath. Gwendolyn Brown, my siblings deserve a life outside of that bubble. I will always be a phone call away, no matter what my father thinks of me. Imagine the vibration of the phone on Gwen's nightstand. The fear in Aurora's voice. The realization that once this call is made, there is no going back to the way things were. What happens when the golden child wants out? The morning after the call, Gwendolyn didn't just sit back. Documents suggest a series of frantic communications between the Og siblings. The plan was simple: get Aurora out. But Robyn's influence is a powerful tether. Analysis. We see a pattern here. Kody views his children as extensions of their mothers. Since Aurora is Robyn's, she is seen as his last loyal soldier. Losing her wouldn't just be a family tragedy. For Kody, it would be a total defeat. In the final segment, we look at the leaked messages that suggest Robyn tried to intercept the rescue. The sister wives community has exploded. On Facebook, the Life After Polygamy groups are calling for Aurora's independence. Community reaction. YouTube commenter Reality Check says, Aurora calling Gwen is the ultimate plot twist. It shows that Kody's patriarchy is crumbling from the inside out. This 3 a.m. call marks the end of the Robyn versus the world era. It is now the children versus the system. The long-term implication is clear. Kody's attempt to build a loyal inner circle has resulted in his own children seeking refuge with the very people he exiled. As of today, the curtains in Flagstaff remain drawn. Aurora remains in a state of flux, partly in, partly out. But the call was placed. The bridge was built. In the world of the Brown family, silence was once a requirement for survival. But as Aurora proved at 3 a.m., the truth doesn't care what time it is. It just needs someone to listen. The toxic environment didn't break her. It woke her up. Let's deep dive in full details. 3:02 in the morning. In most homes, the world is quiet. Lights are off. Phones are silent. But sometimes, the middle of the night is when the truth finally breaks through. On this particular night, a phone begins to ring. The caller ID flashes a familiar name. Aurora, the daughter of Robyn Brown. On the other end of the line is someone who hasn't always been close to Robyn's children, but who understands the complicated world they all grew up in. Gwendolyn Brown, the daughter of Kody Brown and Christine Brown. The call is quiet at first. Then a whisper. Gwen, I didn't know who else to call. What follows would become one of the most talked about moments among fans of the Brown family story. A moment that seemed to capture everything people had been watching slowly unfold for years. A family stretched across 4 marriages, 18 children, and a system that many now say was quietly collapsing from the inside. For more than a decade, audiences watched the lives of the Browns through the reality series Sister Wives. The show premiered in 2010 on TLC. Its premise was simple but controversial. One man, multiple wives. One large polygamist family attempting to live openly in modern America. At the center of it all was Kody Brown. A father who often described his role as a balancing act between love, responsibility, and religious belief. In the earliest seasons, he explained the structure of the family clearly. We're not trying to hide who we are, Kody said during the show's first season. We believe in plural marriage, and we believe it makes us better. At that time, the Brown household consisted of 4 wives. Meri, Janelle, Christine, and the newest addition to the family, Robyn. Robyn entered the family in 2010 and legally married Kody later in 2014 after he divorced his first wife, Meri, in order to adopt Robyn's children. Among those children was Aurora. Quiet, soft-spoken, often described by family members as deeply emotional and sensitive. From the outside, the family often described themselves as united. But longtime viewers noticed something else slowly forming beneath the surface. Tension. And eventually, distance. By the mid-2010s, cracks were beginning to appear in the Brown family structure. The family had moved several times. From Utah, to Las Vegas, and eventually to Flagstaff, Arizona. Each move came with promises of a fresh start. But it also meant separation. Instead of one shared home, the wives were now living in separate houses. The original idea of one interconnected family began to feel more like 4 different households. And viewers noticed something else. Kody seemed to be spending more and more of his time with one wife, Robyn. Fan discussions across Reddit, Facebook groups, and YouTube comment sections began asking the same question again and again. Was the equal marriage ideal actually real? Or had the dynamic quietly shifted? In one widely discussed episode, Kody delivered a line that would become infamous among fans. "The sacrifices I made to love you," he said during a heated argument with Christine. The moment quickly spread across social media. To some viewers, the comments symbolized years of frustration finally surfacing. Shortly after, Christine made a historic decision. In 2021, she announced she was leaving the plural marriage. A move that stunned audiences but also seemed inevitable. And she wouldn't be the last. While the adults were navigating their own conflicts, another story was unfolding. The children. Growing up inside a reality show created a unique experience. Many of the Brown kids reached adulthood with thousands of viewers watching their childhood. Some embraced the spotlight, others quietly stepped away. One of the most outspoken voices from the next generation became Gwendolyn Brown. On YouTube and social media, Gwen began discussing her experiences inside the family. Her commentary was thoughtful, sometimes critical, and often honest. She described complicated relationships within the family. And she spoke openly about how the dynamics had changed over the years. One recurring topic among fans was the relationship between Robyn's household and the rest of the family. During the COVID-19 pandemic, strict household rules created new divisions. Kody implemented detailed guidelines about travel, social interaction, and contact between homes. Some of the children felt those rules were applied unevenly. At one point, Kody stated on the show, "I'm trying to protect the family." But several of the older children disagreed with how those decisions were made. Tension grew. Phone calls stopped. Visits became rare. The idea of one big family was fading. For years, Robyn's home was often portrayed as the most stable environment in the family. Robyn frequently described herself as someone who wanted unity. In one episode, she said, "I didn't sign up for a broken family. I wanted the whole family." But critics argued that Robyn's relationship with Kody had become fundamentally different from the other marriages. Some viewers pointed out that Kody spent most of his time at Robyn's house during the pandemic years. This perception fueled intense debate among fans. Online forums filled with theories. Was Robyn protecting her children? Or was she unintentionally isolating them from the rest of the family? Aurora, in particular, became a quiet symbol of that debate. She appeared frequently on the show but rarely spoke publicly about family tensions. Until, according to some family accounts and fan speculation, the night of the call, Aurora is awake. Sleep has become difficult. Inside Robyn's home, the atmosphere feels heavy. Arguments between adults, stress about the future, and the slow realization that the family she grew up believing in might not exist anymore. Aurora scrolls through her phone. There are not many people she feels comfortable reaching out to. But there is one person who has always been surprisingly kind to her. Gwen. Despite growing up in different households, Gwen had occasionally spoken warmly about Robyn's children. So Aurora presses the call button. When Gwen answers, Aurora hesitates. "Hey, sorry, I know it's late." Gwen immediately knows something is wrong. "Are you okay?" Aurora's voice cracks. I needed to talk to someone who understands this family." It is not a dramatic rescue call. There are no police. No emergency. But emotionally, the moment carries enormous weight. For the first time, someone from Robyn's household is reaching across the invisible wall separating the siblings. According to longtime observers of the Brown family story, the tension inside the family had been building. For years, several of the older siblings had already stepped away from the plural marriage lifestyle. Others had distanced themselves from Kody entirely. And by 2023, the plural marriage structure had effectively dissolved. Christine had left. Janelle had separated from Kody. Meri later confirmed the end of her relationship as well, leaving Kody legally married only to Robyn. For many viewers, the result felt like the quiet end of the entire experiment that the show began documenting in 2010. A family that once claimed unity now existed mostly in fragments. Which makes Aurora's late-night call symbolically powerful. It represents something larger than one conversation. It represents the next generation trying to figure out what the family still means. When fans discuss moments like this, the reactions are intense. On Reddit threads dedicated to sister wives, thousands of comments analyze every interaction between family members. One popular post reads, "Honestly, the kids deserve each other more than the parents deserve them." Another fan writes, "The siblings are the real heart of this family." YouTube reactions echo similar feelings. Commenters often point out that the Brown children seem more supportive of one another than the adults were. On Facebook groups devoted to the show, discussions about Aurora often turn sympathetic. Many fans describe her as someone who grew up in the most controversial phase of the family's story. Some comments read, "She didn't create this situation. She was born into it." Others argue that the real story of Sister Wives is no longer about plural marriage. It's about the long-term effects on the children. In the earliest episodes of Sister Wives, the Brown family had a clear mission. They wanted to normalize plural marriage. They wanted to show that their family worked. That love could exist in a structure many people did not understand. But reality television has a strange effect. It records not just the good moments, but the slow unraveling. Over more than a decade, viewers watched relationships shift. Friendships change. And eventually, marriages end. Few reality shows have documented such a long-term transformation. Today, the Brown family exists in a very different form than when the cameras first started rolling. The plural marriage structure is effectively over. Several of the children have built independent lives far away from the original family homes. Some maintain strong relationships with their mothers. Others have complicated relationships with Kody. And many still maintain connections with each other. In interviews and social media discussions, one theme appears repeatedly. The siblings remain the strongest bond. Which makes moments like Aurora's call to Gwen significant. Because it suggests something important. Even when the original system breaks down, the relationships formed inside it can still survive. The story of the Brown family was once presented as a defense of plural marriage. But after more than a decade of cameras, relocations, arguments, and separations, it may ultimately be remembered as something else. A long documentary about how families evolve, how belief systems change, and how the next generation decides what to keep, and what to leave behind. Somewhere, late at night, a phone rings. A sister answers. And for a moment, the complicated history of an entire family becomes just two people talking. Not as members of a television show. Not as symbols of a social experiment. Just as siblings trying to understand the world they inherited. And what kind of family they want to build next. Do you think Aurora will finally move out, or will Robyn pull her back in? Let's discuss the ethics of Kody's loyalty tests below.